So where did I get the upward sloping line? Where did I get the downward sloping line? Well, the downward sloping line is that line which cuts off the 95th percentile in the data. So conditional on there being 5 monkeys in the market on a given day, the 95th percentile is about 25,000 currency. Conditional on there being 3 monkeys in the market, the 95th percentile is about 26,000 currency, so on. The reason, by the way, that this line is so flat is because this data is an outlier. If I took that data point out, it'd come right down here, but that would be intellectually dishonest. Since we did this picture, we have a few more years of data, so that the influence of that outlier would go away. So in fact, my argument is that the 95th percentile line, conditional 95th percentile, represents strategic demand, and the 5th percentile, only 5, conditional on a number of monkeys coming to market, 5% of the data points lie below that line. That's strategic supply. And those tell us the reservation prices of buyers and the reservation prices of sellers on days when different quantities of monkeys come to market. And they're going to end up bargaining in between those two prices. Now, as it happens, you can kind of get the sense that the data points are much more dense below the median, which means that the conditional distribution of price is asymmetric. And actually, more interestingly, in this instance, I have an image in here which is the joint density over price and quantity. Instead of drawing level curves, I drew the 3-dimensional picture of the joint density using the same method that I described to you a few minutes ago. Same kind of thought. Let's not use this version of the picture. The joint density over price and quantity, the frequency with which price-quantity pairs appear. And the way to read the picture is that price is increasing from back to front, and quantity is increasing from front to back. So it means that low price, low quantity pairs appear much more frequently than high price, high quantity pairs. So that means that the deal that's struck between the mamas and the buyers frequently results in very low prices. Surprisingly, it doesn't make any. We did look at things like seasonality. We looked at rainfall because Yoko Island is mostly a rainfall. In some parts of the island, they get 300 inches of rain a year. So it's raining constantly out in the forest. But Wayne and Gail, the other co-authors on the paper, have been collecting this data, having this data collected for about 10 years. They've been running the biodiversity preservation project on Yoko Island. We have a census taker who goes to the market every day and writes down the animal that is being traded, price at which the species, the gender, the weight, price, and juvenile or adult. Every animal that's traded in the market now for more than 10 years. It's a massive data. Well, among other things, the World Wildlife Fund and some other Conservation International and some places like that. They also use part of the money to put rangers in the forest. Unarmed rangers, but just the fact that there's somebody in the forest, in the preserves. There are 2 national parks on the island where there's supposed to be no hunting. But as kind of a natural experiment, for probably 8.5 years, they were paying unarmed guards through their wildlife WWF funds to put these unarmed guards out in the preserve. And there's some hunting that goes on in them, but it's hard to tell if the guards are really doing it. As it happened in the conservation movement more than a few, like 4 years ago, some of the busybodies who think they know everything convinced the World Wildlife Fund and Conservation International and a couple of other agencies that their interest should be in preservation of habitat, not the preservation of specific species. So as a consequence, for a short time, Wayne's project lost its funding, which meant that they couldn't pay the rangers that were out in the rainforest. As soon as the rangers came out of the rainforest, the kill rate skyrocketed. Wow. And so they went after only 3 months of this, they went back to the WWF and Conservation International and whoever else they were getting money from. They said, look at what's happening here. You take our people out of the forest, and all of a sudden the kill rate is 3 times higher. It's an absolute disaster. So the funding was restored. They put the guys back in the forest, and you see the kill rate drop way off of it. They all know each other. It's a pretty small place, and so it could be hunted. It could be a victim. Also, they're trained not to confront the hunter, to make the hunter know that they're there and that they're seeing what's going on. And that's enough of a deterrent effect. Keeps the kill rate fairly low. Not low enough, but somewhat low. So this is the graph with strategic demand and strategic supply would be an application of some alternative to straight lines and least squares. These empirical densities are a different kind of weighted averages that are being constructed. And so the message that you get out of this picture is that this peak corresponds to those price quantity pairs where the buyer has most of the bargaining power, because they were able to leverage the mama down to a low price for a given quantity. But there are people who are too eager to buy, and sure enough, they pay a high price. That's the other mode in the joint. So that was kind of a diversion from what we had planned for today. You either pay a lot or you pay a little, right?